I have, in the last chapter of my book, a gentleman, a professional research historian named Greg Smith, told of our travails and told of our journey trying to get this, as he discovered, the 17,000 pages. I will never forget when he says, "Bob, I've got good news and bad news." This was in 2021. I said, "Well, Greg, hit it with me." I stopped. I was delivering mail that day. I was stuck in a snowbank, so I thought I'd give him a call, and he says, "I've got good news and bad news." He says, "We finally located the information on your uncle." Finally, we did. The good news. But the bad news is it's going to cost you. There are 17,000 pages of documents. Greg's a professional. I trusted him with, well, I don't know, so with my life, but this man has been going at it for 30 years. We couldn't get the documents. It's been close to 4 years on this. Why? He said there's something in those documents that could be relevant here in this room. There's something in those documents that the government doesn't want released. So the story continues, and what I would like for us all to consider is that that's part of the story. We tried to get the documents, and they're still outstanding. I tried to contact Bill Moyers. See, Bill's a wonderful man, I'm sure. He's 89 or 90 years old now. And we are the beneficiaries of the secret tapes, the OBJ tapes, which were released. And in February 1964, Bill Moyers, and I believe a few other people are in the room, and LBJ is talking to his attorney. And his attorney said, "You need to release, Lyndon, just be open with this guy Reynolds. Just get this stuff out. Don't hide, just get it out." And LBJ says, "Well, you're my attorney, and I want to do what you want me to do. But if I do, I'm going to jail." Now, I could say that Don Reynolds had enough to put LBJ behind jail. But when you have a president himself saying these kinds of things recorded on tape, it makes it more believable. And there you go. So we are I'd say gifted. He said, "Well, Bob Nelson's a gifted individual." I said, "Well, no, I'm very gifted." And people would say, "Well, Bob, I'm glad you have a good opinion of yourself." So let me just add one more. I have very much been gifted. The secret LBJ tapes, the FBI files, 17,000 pages of documents, research from 3 major universities: University of Wisconsin Historical Society, University of Nebraska, and one other university. The main point about it is that this is not bereft of documented information. So what can we gather from all of this? Our family was thrown into history. Okay, there's a gentleman named Philip Nelson. Anybody know Philip Nelson? Right? I met Phil briefly. I was at his home in Pennsylvania, and on page 261 of his book, I believe The Mastermind, he said that LBJ had to act. Next week, Reynolds was testifying. So with those 2 sentences, actually, ladies and gentlemen, it appears that, well, in our family, we caused the assassination, indirectly. That Johnson had this tsunami of forces coming at him, and the only way to relieve the pressure was to take the reins of government. I'm going to be agnostic. I'm going to say I actually don't know of this, but this book that's coming out shows the interplay of our family and an event that was just foisted upon us. I would like to say that we have conclusive proof, and my uncle said that he had conclusive proof that LBJ had something to do with it, but I would like to say that my uncle, let me explain this, through a story that communication from our family, that J. Edgar Hoover had told a cousin of mine. This is what Don Reynolds had said when they were eating in South Carolina at a meal, that not Hoover himself, but an emissary or an intermediary from Hoover had said, Don, you need to leave the country. Your life is in grave danger. Okay? If you do not leave the country, if you don't leave the U.S., someone from the government will have you disposed. Now, this is significant that there is someone from the government saying that. If someone from the government said that to my uncle, they would have knowledge of somebody else, potentially from the government, who might be behind that. In other words, it's not some guy from Greensboro, North Carolina that they knew. No, it's someone there from the government that would essentially end my uncle's life. This is what was happening. And here, I'm just a 10-year-old kid. What do I know? I'm in 5th grade at Eads School in Munster, Indiana. But the incredible part about this is that getting this memoir, by the way, this memoir is hot off the press. Just see me in the back if you want to take a look at it. It's published by Trine Day. We will get a substantial number of copies out. I have just 2 copies here today. But we felt that we had to get this out because this was a story that was told in bits and pieces. It's not that Don Reynolds was unknown, right? But the full story of what a family had gone through, the incredible emotional and just practical part of this story was never told. And it behooves us to ask, would you do this? There is no right or wrong answer to getting the story out. See, it's a family memoir. Some people would say, Bob, just let it pass. Just let it go. It's not. But the more I did the research, the more I got entranced with it. Has anybody else thought about writing a family memoir? Anybody here in the group? You'll never know what you experience. I worked at the University of Wisconsin for a while, in Madison, and I was told that a Pulitzer Prize winner, Clark Mollenhoff, wrote about my uncle, and his papers would be, I believe, at Drake University, where he went to school. And I told my wife, I said, oh my, honey, can you just, I got to go to Ames, Iowa. She said, okay, you got to get this thing out, I understand. But these are all personal decisions as we go. It might be asked about what is LBJ's legacy? Will this change LBJ's legacy? Thank goodness for Microsoft Bing. I had this, Reynolds made a lasting impact. Reynolds made a lasting impact on American history. Wow, that's my uncle. A lasting impact on American history. His contribution to discovering corruption remains significant. So I feel somewhat vindicated that the book that's coming out will capture part or maybe most of our story, and you'll be interested in that. I was when I first looked at it. I go, wow. But I will leave it to historians that it may be triumph,